Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're going to study together Daf Kuf Lamed Hey of Masechta Shabbos, Daf 135. I think it's a good daf. Don't get the wrong idea. I did learn it. So it's a good daf. Yeah, let's just say that. It's a good daf. There might be like a part that maybe is confusing. It's a little hard to tell. So just letting you know that in case there's a part that's a little confusing, you were warned. Alright, let's get started. So let's do an overview. So if we have any kind of safek with regard to like bris milah, so then we won't do it on Shabbos, and we'll get into what these different type of safeks of these different type of uncertainties might be. What happens if a little guy is born and he doesn't have a foreskin? What do you do? Can you do bris? Like, what do you do? We're going to talk about that. And then, is there a connection between the tumah of the mother and the bris of the child, right? In order to do the bris on the 8th day, does the mother have to be somebody who would get tumas leda? An example being a C-section. If the baby was born with a C-section, so then the tumas leda wouldn't apply. And then the question is, does that have any implications for if the bris would be on the 8th day or not? We will find all this out on Daf Kuf Lamed Hey of Masechta Shabbos. We are all the way at the bottom of Daf Kuf Lamed Daled Amud Beis on the last line, which says safek ve'androgynos chulei. So the Mishnah says that a safek and an androgynous, I think, is like somebody who's born with both male and female genitalia. So, I guess the question is, do you do bris milah on the male genitalia? So, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, or laso vadai docheh es Shabbos, v'lo safek docheh es Shabbos. So, the pasuk says, right, v'yom hashmini imo b'sar orla so, his orla. So, his orla to the exclusion of something else. And that is to the exclusion of a safek. And we will explain later what this sort of generic safek is, because then we go into more specific sfekos. Right, it says, Orlaso vadai doches Shabbos v'lo androgynos doches Shabbos. So we say that a vadai orla is doche Shabbos, but not an androgynos, where it's a safek, I guess, if it's a boy or a girl. Rabbi Yehuda omer androgynos doches Shabbos v'anush kares. Rabbi Yehuda says, and the bris milah of an androgynous would be doche Shabbos, and if this fellow never gets bris milah, well then, once he becomes a gadol, he'll be chayiv kares if he never gets bris milah. Or laso vade doches Shabbos v'lo nolad ben hashmashos doches Shabbos. Right, right. If the baby was born ben hashmashot. Now I assume that this means whether it's Friday evening ben hashmashot or whether it's Shabbos evening ben hashmashot. Right. Either way, we're not sure if the baby was necessarily born on Shabbos or not. So therefore, we will not do the bris milah on Shabbos out of safek if it's in fact the 8th day. Or laso vadai doche es Shabbos v'lo nolad kshumo doche es Shabbos. Now, or laso vadai is doche Shabbos, not if this little guy was born without a foreskin. Shebeshamei omrim tzarich la'atef mimenu dam bris uvesil omrim eino tzarich. That we have a machlokas here. The Tanna Kama says that according to Beis Shammai, you would nonetheless have to draw a certain amount of blood from this little guy, because we are concerned that it doesn't, right, according to, if you would say that you have to draw a little bit of blood from the penis, even if there's no orla there, it doesn't mean that there's mamish no orla. It means that it's an orla kvusha, as we're going to see, that there's some kind of orla, but it's basically just stuck to the rest of the penis or something, and it's like, for all intents and purposes, invisible, but for halachic reasons, we have to be concerned that it is there, and you have to at least draw blood, even if there's nothing to actually remove. Okay, so Beis Shammai says, right, tzarich la'atef mimenu dam, that you would at least have to do hatafas dam, you'd at least have to extract a little bit of blood. Hatafas mimenu dam bris, uveis hillel, omrim eino tzarich. Beis Hillel says you do not have to extract any blood if he's nolad mahul. Amr Reb Shimon ben Elazar, lo nechleku Beis Shammai v'Beis Hillel al nolad kshumo shetzarich la'atef mimenu dam bris. So again, so says Reb Shimon ben Elazar, lo nechleku Beis Shammai v'Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree al nolad kshumahu, that if he is born without a foreskin, that you would still have to extract at least a symbolic amount of dam, orla kivusha, because it's considered that this orla is basically just stuck to the rest of the penis and it doesn't look like there's anything there, but don't be fooled, there is. So you at least have to draw some blood. So then what is the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? Al ger shenisgayer kshumahu. What if you have a convert and he converted, but he already was circumcised before he converted? So Beis Shammai says you would nonetheless have to extract a certain amount of dam. I don't know why, but you nonetheless would have to. Uveis Hillel omrim ein tzarich latif menu dam bris. And Beis Hillel says that you do not need to draw any blood from this guy who converted. So now, the point being, so we see that it's machlokas about do you have to do bris milah, do you have to at least do atafas dam when this little guy is born without a foreskin. So according to the Tanakama, Beis Shammai would say yes, Beis Hillel would say no. According to Reb Shimon ben Elazar, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel would agree that you would have to do a tafas dam bris. However, nonetheless, it wouldn't be docheh Shabbos, and that's the point, right? Or laso is docheh Shabbos, but not when he's nolad kishuhu mahul. In that situation, it would not be docheh Shabbos, even if you say that you have to do a tafas dam bris. Omar Mar, we said earlier, v'lo safek docheh Shabbos, right? So if you scroll up all the way to the top of the page, it says that, right? We said or laso is michal, right? Orla vada is michal Shabbos, but not safek. Then we gave other more specific sfekos, right? Androgynos, maybe if he's born ben ashmashos, maybe if he's nolad mahul, right? But the first thing that we said was just a generic safek. It's not docheh Shabbos. What is this generic safek? That's what the Gemara wants to know. Amar ma'avilo safek docheh is a Shabbos. So we said earlier that a safek, a generic uncertainty, is not docheh Shabbos. What is this generic uncertainty? So so it's coming to include that which is taught in the following brisa. Ben shiva mechalin olav es haShabbos. So the assumption in halacha seems to be that if you have a baby that's born in the 7th month, no problem. If you have a baby born in the 9th month, that's no problem. In both cases, the baby would be considered healthy and viable. However, if a baby is born during its 8th month, the halacha assumes that it's like bad news. It's a nefel. We even go so far as to say in a few lines that it's considered like a stone. It's like the prospect, as far as we're concerned, the prospects are not very rosy for this little guy, and we honestly just treat him as a dead person, which is kind of nuts. But okay, Seder. So. And if that's the case, so says the Gemara, and Tana Rabbanan ben shiva mechalin olav es haShabbos. So if you have a baby born in the 7th month, so then you'll be mechal Shabbos to do the bris milah on the 8th day. Uven shmone uven ches ein mechalin olav es haShabbos. However, if this little guy is born in the 8th month, certainly you will not be mechal Shabbos to do a bris milah for him because he's just considered like a dead guy. Safek ben zayin, safek ben ches. But what if you're not sure if he was born in the 7th month or in the 8th month? Maybe it was like ben hashmashos of Rosh Chodesh or something. So that is the safek that we're talking about, right? Because if it was certainly 7th month, so you would do bris milah. If it was certainly 8th month, then you certainly would not. But what if it's safek sheva, safek shmone? So in mechalin olav es haShabbos, you would not be mechal Shabbos. That is the generic safek. Now the Gemara says ben shmone hareyu ke'even. A child born in its 8th month is like a stone. You can't even move it on Shabbos. It's muktzah. Aval imo shoche umanikaso mipnei sakana. And guess what? The mother is allowed to bend over the child so that the child can nurse. Kilu, the child is considered like a stone and it's muktzah and you can't even move the child on Shabbos. What the mother can do is the mother can bend over the baby so that the baby can nurse and not so that the baby can nurse. It's so that mipnei sakana, so that the mother, if she's producing too much milk, it could be either uncomfortable or dangerous. So therefore, out of sakana for the mother, she would be permitted to nurse this baby while the baby is just lying there and she's bending over the baby. Very, very interesting. Although there is another Rashi from Yevamos apparently that seems to say that it's out of concern for the mother and the child. Okay, fine. So that is the safek that we're talking about there. Safek 7 months, safek 8th month. Itmar, it was stated, Rav Amar Alacha Tanakama Ushmuel Amar Alacha Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Okay, so we have a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel. Rav says that the Alacha is like the Tanakama. What does the Tanakama say? Tanakama says that when it comes to Nolad Kishehu Mahul, a little guy born without a foreskin. So the Tanakama says that it's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says that you have to do atafas dam bris. Beis Hillel says that you do not. Rav says that the halacha is like the Tanakama, i.e. that there's machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about do you do atafas dam bris in the case of Nolad Kishehu Mahul. And essentially Beis Hillel therefore says no, that you wouldn't. So mistama, then the halacha is that you wouldn't. Now Shmuel says that the halacha is like Reb Shimon ben Elazar, that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas dam bris in a case of nolad kishehu mahul. The machlokas is a gershon is gayer. But we see that both according to Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, based on Reb Shimon ben Elazar's interpretation, they would both agree that you would do atafas dam bris. So essentially according to Rav, you would not do atafas dam bris for in nolad kishehu mahul, because Beis Hillel says that you wouldn't. According to Shmuel, you would do atafas dam bris, because both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas dam bris by nolad kishehu mahul. Rav Ada bar Ahava isilid le'ahu yinuka kishehu mahul. So Rav Ada bar Ahava, who was a student of Rav, so he had a baby that was born to him, and this baby was nolad mahul. He was born without a foreskin, without an orla. So what do? Right? If you're a Rav, right? So Rav, who was his Rebbe, Rav would say that, well, Beis Hillel says that you wouldn't have to do hatafas dam. Shmuel would say that you would do hatafas dam, because both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would. So what did Rav Ada bar Ahava do? So now this little guy was born on Shabbos, which means that his bris would have been done on Shabbos. Okay? Well, it needed to be done on Shabbos. Now, Ahadre atleser mahulae. So Rav Ada bar Ahava went around to 13 different mohels so that somebody could do atafas dam bris for him on Shabbos. None of them wanted to do it because the baby was nolad kishehu mahul, and they didn't want to do atafas dam on Shabbos. Adishavi kros shavcha. So then Rav Ada bar Ahava said, you know what? If you guys aren't going to do it for me, I'll do it myself. Now he didn't exactly know what he was doing, and he ended up screwing up his baby's penis because he tried doing it himself. That sounds not so geschmack. That's what happened. Omar tasli the avri adarav. So Rav Ada bar Ahava said, wow, I'm such an idiot. I deserve it. I deserve that this terrible situation happened because I didn't listen to my Rebbe Rav. Rav says that the halacha is like the Tanakama, which means that Beis Hillel says that you wouldn't do atafas dam in a case of nolad kishehu mahul. This little guy was born without an orla, which means that there was really no reason bichlal why I should be doing atafas dam, let alone on Shabbos, and look what happened. Amar Rav Nachman said, Vada Shmuel lo avar? What? Rav Ada bar Ahava only ignored Rav's opinion? What about Shmuel? What does Shmuel say? Shmuel says that according to that the halacha is like Reb Shimon ben Elazar, which is that according to both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, you would do atafas dam bris when in a case of nolad kishehu mahul. However, says but when Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, even though they agree that you would do atafas dam, that's only during the week. Why are you doing atafas dam? So the assumption is that you're doing atafas dam because we aren't sure. Maybe even though there's no orla, maybe that's just we don't see the orla, but it's what? It's orla kivusha, right? There's an orla there, but it's somehow connected to the rest of the penis, and therefore you would still have to do some kind of atafas dam, but it's a safek. We don't know. Maybe it's an orla kavusha, maybe it's not an orla kavusha. So during the week, you would do atafas dam, but it wouldn't be docheh Shabbos. So therefore, so what happened? So Rav Ada bar Ahava, he kind of messed up his little baby because he was trying to be fancy and doing atafas dam even on Shabbos. He says, wow, I deserved this terrible situation because I ignored my Rebbe Rav, who says that according to Beis Hillel, you don't have to do atavas dam bichlal. Rav Nachman says he didn't only violate Rav's opinion, he also violated Shmuel's opinion, because when Shmuel says that the halacha is like Reb Shimon ben Elazar, that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you do atavas dam, that's only out of safek. That's only because maybe it's an orla kvusha, and out of safek we do atavas dam, but it definitely wouldn't be docheh Shabbos. Right? Emar da Amar Shmuel b'chol b'Shabbos miyamar. So, as Rav Nachman says, I'll say that Shmuel's opinion that you do atavas dam is only during the week, out of a safek, maybe it's an orla kvusha. But on Shabbos, it certainly would not be docheh Shabbos for this safek. So the Gemara answers, Hu savar vadai orla kvusha hi. So, Rav Ada bar Ahava was holding that, no, it's not a safek or lekvusha, it was a vadai or lekvusha. According to Rav Ada bar Ahava, not only does he hold not only was he assuming like Shmuel, that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas dam in a case of nolad kshumahu. However, why is that? Not out of a safek that maybe it's an orla kvusha, rather it is certainly an orla kvusha. And that's why Rav Ada bar Ahava was assuming that it would be docheh Shabbos. And we're going to see that it's a machlokas between Rabbah and Rav Yosef of, do you consider a baby who's nolad kshumahul, do we consider the absence of the orla because it's mamish just missing, or is it just considered stuck to the rest of the penis? And therefore you would have to do, and that's why you have to do tafas adam. Fine. The idmar, as we have machlokas between Amoraim, Rabbah Amar Chashinan Shema Orla Kvusha. So Rabbah says it's a safek. We're concerned that maybe it's an Orla Kvusha, and therefore we do atafas dam. Rav Yosef Amar Vadai Orla Kvusha. Rav Yosef says it is 100% an Orla Kvusha, and that is why you do hatafas adam. Now Amar Rav Yosef Mina Minala, and Rav Yosef says, and how do I know that we say that we do atafas dam because there is certainly 100% in Orla Kvusha? Well, the Tanya, because we learn in a Brisa. Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Omer, says Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar. Okay, so far we've seen two opinions about the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding Hatafas Adam by Nolad Kshumahu. According to the Tanakama, it's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about Hatafas Adam by Nolad Kshumahu. Beis Shammai says you do Hatafas Adam, Beis Hillel says that you do not. Then we have Reb Shimon ben Elazar, who says that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas adam. Now we get to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar. So now, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Omer lo nechelku Beis Shammai Beis Hillel al nolad kshumahu shetzarich la'atif mimenu dam bris. So Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar says that both, just like Reb Shimon ben Elazar, that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that by nolad kshumahu you would do atafas adam. Okay. Amma nechelku. So what's the machlokas? L'chal olav Shabbos. The kasha is, would you be mechal Shabbos? Should be Shammai omim mechalan olav Shabbos. Beis Hillel omim ein mechalan olav Shabbos. Whereas Beis Shammai says that you would be mechal Shabbos, and Beis Hillel says that you would not be mechal Shabbos. Lav mechlad tanakam esav mechalan olav Shabbos. Well, from the fact that we're saying that this Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar holds that there's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about whether or not you would be mechal Shabbos to do this hatafas adam, right? They both agree that you would do hatafas adam by nolad kshumahu. The question is, would you be mechal Shabbos? Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no. So now Rav Yosef wants to say, wouldn't that imply that according to the Tanakama, certainly everyone agrees that you would be mechal Shabbos to do hatafas adam, right? Remember again, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is saying that it's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel whether or not you'd be docheh Shabbos to do atafas adam. Rav Yosef wants to argue that implies that the Tanakama, upon who Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is arguing, would hold that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel say that certainly you would be mechal Shabbos. And the only way to assume that you certainly would be mechal Shabbos, both according to Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, is to assume that you're doing atafas adam because it's a vadai orla kvusha, and that is Rav Yosef's argument that you do atafas adam because it's a vadai orla kvusha, right? Again, from the fact that Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar argues that it's machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about whether or not doing atafas adam is docheh Shabbos, Rav Yosef wants to argue that implies that according to the Tanakama, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel would agree that atafas adam would be docheh Shabbos, and the only way to explain why atafas adam would be docheh Shabbos is if you say that, well, you're doing atafas adam because there's a vadai or lekavusha. That is Rav Yosef's proof that that there's a vadai or lekavusha. Now, some people might be thinking, wait a second, what is this mysterious Tanakama, right? In order to say that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that in order to be mechalel, right? In order to say that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that we're mechalel, that we're docheh Shabbos, to do atafas adam because it's a vadai or lekavusha, well, obviously then that means that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you do atafas adam. Now, I don't know what Tanakama this is. The Tanakama that we saw earlier on the page said that it's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. So it's interesting to note that according to Rav Yosef, who says that while Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar says that there's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding if you're machal Shabbos to do atafas adam, Rav Yosef argues that according to the Tanakama, certainly you would be machal Shabbos to do atafas adam, both according to Beis Shammai and according to Beis Hillel. Well, then that also implies that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, of course, assume that you would be doing atafas adam in the first place, which is not like our Tanakama. So there's some mysterious Tanakama who is saying that, at least according to Rav Yosef, there's some mysterious Tanakama who is saying both that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas adam, and also that the atafas adam would be docheh Shabbos, to which Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is arguing, no. Only Beis Shammai says that atafas adam would be docheh Shabbos. Beis Hillel would say that it would not. Fine. Okay, so that was Rav Yosef's argument to say that you do atafas adam because of a vadai or lekavusha. Fine. Let's read that again. So Amar Rav Yosef bin Aminala, Rav Yosef says, what's my proof? How do I know that we do atafas adam because of vadai or lekavusha? The Tanya, as we learn in the Brayso, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Omer, says Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, lo nechleku Beis Shammai Beis Hillel anolad kshumo shetzarich latif menu dam bris. That both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that when this little guy is born without an orla, you have to at least draw a little bit of blood. The machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is whether or not you are docheh Shabbos to do this atafas adam. Beis Shammai omer mechalin olav Shabbos, Beis Hillel omer ein mechalin olav Shabbos. Beis Shammai says you would be mechal Shabbos to do atafas adam. Beis Hillel says you would not be mechal Shabbos. Lav mechlal does not imply the Tanakama savr mechalin olav Shabbos, that the Tanakama says that both according to Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel you'd be mechal Shabbos, you'd be docheh Shabbos to do atafas adam. So, and therefore, in order to say that, that means it's vadai or lekavusha. So the Gemara says maybe not necessarily. Vidilma, maybe you can argue Tanakama divrei akol in mechalin ka'amar. Maybe you can argue that according to the Tanakama, actually both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would not be mechalel Shabbos to do atafas adam, which means that according to the Tanakama, it's a safek orla kavusha like Rabbah. Okay? That both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would not be docheh Shabbos to do atafas adam. Okay? Fine. So now, if we're still assuming like our mysterious Tanakama, that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas adam in a case of nolad shumahu, and we're saying that they both agree that even though you would do atafas adam, they both agree that you would not be mechalel Shabbos. Well, im kain, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, time of the Beis Shammai asal hashminan. Well, if that's the case, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, so he is agreeing with the Tanakama that both according to Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, you would do atafas adam. And he's also agreeing with the Tanakama, according to Beis Hillel, that you wouldn't be mechal Shabbos. The only chiddush, therefore, according to Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, is regarding Beis Shammai, who says that actually you would be mechal Shabbos. But time of the Beis Shammai also, right? Im kain, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, time of the Beis Shammai also lashmeinan. Rabbi Eliezer Kapar is only coming to tell us the opinion of Beis Shammai. Who cares about the opinion of Beis Shammai? So Rashi points out, Beis Shammai b'makom Beis Hillel ain't no Mishnah. Whenever you have a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, it's like Beis Shammai doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what their opinion is. And therefore, it wouldn't make sense to say, right? So if you want to argue, right, that the Tana Kama is saying that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you do atafas adam when it's nolak shumahu, and they also both agree that this, however, would not be docheh Shabbos, and therefore it shows that it's safek or lekavusha. Well, then Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, when he says that it's actually machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding if doing atavas adam is docheh Shabbos, well then, according to Beis Hillel, there's no chiddush, because we know the Tana Kama says that it's not docheh Shabbos, and Beis Hillel says it's not docheh Shabbos. The only chiddush is according to Beis Shammai, to say that it is docheh Shabbos. Rabbi Eliezer Kapar is coming to teach us the chiddush of Beis Shammai. So now listen to what the Gemara answers, friends. Dilma hachi ka'amar lo nechliku Beis Shammai Beis Hillel b'davar zeh. No. Maybe our mysterious Tana Kama, we're all wrong about our mysterious Tana Kama. There is no such thing as a mysterious Tana Kama. Who is the Tana Kama? The same Tana Kama from the top of the page. Now the Tana Kama holds that there's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding do you do atafas adam in a case of nolad kshu mahul. And what's happening is, back to our Gemara down here at the end, right, about what the opinion of the Tana Kama is in terms of being Michal Shabbos, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would not, right, that according to the Tana Kama, they both agree that you would not be Michal Shabbos, that you would not be docheh Shabbos in order to do hatafas adam. That implies that while you would not be Michal Shabbos to do hatafas adam, but if it was during the week, right, so while they agree that you would not be Michal Shabbos to do hatafas adam, they would disagree with regard to would you do atafas adam during the week. Beis Shammai would say yes, you would do atafas adam, and Beis Hillel says no, you wouldn't. Right? Meaning we're saying that while the Tana Kama agrees that on Shabbos you wouldn't do atafas adam, that's the only thing that they agree about. Where do they argue? They argue during the week. During the week, Beis Shammai would say that you would do atafas adam. Beis Hillel says that you would not do atafas adam. Right? And what Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar is, right, just like our Tana Kama, the initial Tana Kama, who says that there's a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding do you b'chlal do atavas adam, right? Now, Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar now is responding to them and saying, no, as the Gemara says, lo nechliku b'davar zeh. No, both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that when it comes to nolad kshumo, that you would in fact do hatafas adam, both according to Beis Shammai and according to Beis Hillel. The only machlokes is atafas adam docheh Shabbos? Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no. So the Tana Kama says that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that atafas adam is not docheh Shabbos, which would mean that even if you say that atavas adam, that you would do atavas adam, it's only out of safek or lekavusha, and there is a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel during the week. Would you do atavas adam? Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no. To which Rabbi Eliezer Kapar is arguing and saying, no, you got it all wrong. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both agree that of course you would do atafas adam. And not only that, there's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about if it's docheh Shabbos. Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no. Yeah, it was a little complicated, right? It's unassuming. You wouldn't think it would be so complicated, and then all of a sudden it just gets really complicated. I was a little surprised also, when I was learning it earlier. Like, this page was going so good. I was like, was going so fast, and then surprisingly I just got stuck here. It's a little bit confusing. But not you guys. You guys are smarter than me. You guys weren't confused. You could do it in your sleep, I'm sure. Okay, says the Gemara. So in the Gemara it says Amar Rabbi Asi, but there is like a note that adds Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Asi, which kind of makes it a shtickle better, because Abaye responds to him, and then Kilu you have a dialogue between Abaye and his Rebbe Rabba, which I think makes sense. Fine, Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Asi, Kol she'imo tmeya leda, nimo lishmona. V'chol she'ein imo tmeya leda, ein nimo lishmona. So it says Rabba in the name of Rabbi Asi that in order for the bris to be on the 8th day, well, this baby's mother would have to be tamei tumas leda, right? The beginning of Parshas Tazria, the Torah describes that after a woman gives birth, so she's tamei for, if it's a boy, she's tamei for 7 days, followed by another 33 days of Dmei Tahara. If it's a girl, then it's 2 weeks of Dmei, she's tamei, and then followed by 66 days of Dmei Tahara. So, what does it say, Darton? So it says the Gemara, Shenemar, it says, Isha ki sazria v'yalda zachar. If a woman gives birth to a boy, v'tama v'gomer, she'll be tamei, uvayom hashmini yimo b'sar olaso, and then on the 8th day, you will do bris milah. So we see that there's a connection between the mother being tamei and doing the bris on the 8th day. Implying that, let's say if it was like a C-section or some other way that a woman would not have tumas leda, well then there wouldn't be that connection between the bris dafka on the 8th day. You can even do it on the 1st day if you want. Amalei Abaye says to Rabba, Doros Arishonim Yochichu. Says Abaye, but let me ask you a kasha. What about Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, all the way into Matan Torah? She'ein imo tmei leda v'nimo l'shmona. The Torah wasn't yet given, so there was no halachas of tuma and tara. So the mother, when she gives birth, there wouldn't be any tumas leda. And yet, we know that the bris was happening on the 8th day, right? It says by Yitzchak Avinu that he had, right, that his bris was when he was 8 days old. But his mother wasn't tamei tumas leda. There was no Torah. There was no concept of tuma and tara. So we see, so Abaye is arguing that there is no connection between tumas leda and milah b'shmona. Amar lei, so Rabbi responds to Abaye, Nitna Torah nischad sha'alacha, that when the Torah was given, so then things changed. Meaning, before the Torah was given, so the bris would be on the 8th day, even if the mother wasn't tamei tumas leda. However, once the Torah was given, things changed. And once there was Parshas Tazria and the connection between being tamei and having the bris milah, at that point there becomes a connection. And therefore, if the mother is not tamei tumas leda, then the bris would not have to be on the 8th day, according to Rabbah. Ini, is this really true? Itmar. But one second, we have a machlokas amoraim. Yotzei dofen umishiyesh lo shtei orlos. So somebody who was born in a C-section or somehow has 2 foreskins. It sounds like a very fancy kind of situation. So if you have somebody who was born a C-section, or somehow has 2 orlas, Rav Huna, Rav Chia, machlokas, Rav Huna, Rav Chia barav. Chad Omer mechalin olav es Shabbos, Chad Omer ein mechalin. So one of them says you would be mechal Shabbos to do the bris. The other one says that you would not be mechal Shabbos to do the bris. Ad kan lo plige el chal olav es Shabbos. So now the Gemara wants to say this machlokas between Rav Huna and Rav Chia barav is only whether or not you're mechal Shabbos. But mistama they would both agree that you would do the bris on the 8th day, and that's even though this little guy was born in a C-section and the mother is not tamei tumas leda. So there's no connection, Darton. No, haba hatayos. So the Gemara says no, they're both connected, meaning according to Man Amar we would say that the bris is docheh Shabbos, so you would also say that the bris is happening on the 8th day. It says bayom hashmini yimo b'sor Allah. So as we've learned that bayom, even if it's b'Shabbos. Now, if you're right, according to the Man Amar who says that it would not be docheh Shabbos, well, guess what? It also wouldn't have to be on the 8th day either. Fine. Okay, so we see this machlokas about, is there a connection between the mother being tamei tumas leda and the child being circumcised on the 8th day? Kitanoi. So the Gemara wants to say that this concept of, is there a correlation between the tumah of the mother and the 8 days for bris milah of the child? So it's a machlokas tanaim. Here it is. Yesh lidbay shnimo leechad, v'yesh lidbay shnimo l'shmona, yesh miknas kesef shnimo leechad, v'yesh miknas kesef shnimo l'shmona. What does that mean? Let's read it again. So this is talking about avadim, right? Children of slaves. So you have an eved Kanaani, or really in this case a shifcha Kanaanis, a non-Jewish maidservant, and she gives birth to a child. So now there's a chiyuv that all of a person's avadim Kanaaniyim, all of his male slaves that are not Jewish, nonetheless they have to have a bris. The question is, does that bris have to be on the 8th day, or can it even be on the 1st day? So we see, as we learn so we have a brayso that says yeshi lidbayis shnima leechad. So there is, right? So it says in the pasuk by bris milah, it says yilidbayis umiknas kesef. Right, whether it's a slave that's born in your home or whether it's a slave that you bought, you still have to do bris milah. So So we see yesh yilid bayis shnima le'echad. So there are slaves that are born in your home that you can circumcise already at one day. Yesh yilid bayis shnima le'shmona. There are slaves that are born in your home that you would only circumcise them on the 8th day. Yesh miknas kesef shnima le'echad. There are slaves that you have purchased that would already be able to get circumcised on the first day. V'yesh miknas kesef shnima le'shmona. There are other purchased slaves that you would only circumcise at the 8th day. Okay, we're going to have to explain what these cases are. Yesh miknas kesef shnima le'echad v'yesh miknas kesef shnima le'shmona ketzad. So what are these cases of a purchased slave that will be circumcised at one day, or a purchased slave that will be circumcised at 8 days? So here we go. Lakach shivcha mi'uberes. If you purchased a non-Jewish maidservant and she had a baby in her tummy, and then afterwards, once she was purchased, she gave birth to this baby. So according to the Tanna Kama, which is whose opinion we're talking about right now, so this child will be circumcised at 8 days. So according to the Tanna Kama, whose opinion we're discussing now, so it says in the pasuk, Uven shmonas yomim yimol lachem. At 8 days you will circumcise for you. Kol zachar l'dorosechem, all males for your generations. Yilid bayis miknas kesef, etc. Right? Whether it's born in your house or whether it is purchased. So we see in the context of bris milah, of circumcision, it says lachem. It says to you. So in order, and it says what? It says uven shmonas yomim, 8 days. So in order for this child to be circumcised at 8 days, as opposed to, let's say, already 1 day, it would have to be lachem, right? Uven shmonas yomim yimod lachem. So if we can apply lachem to you, like the Jews, if we can apply it to this slave, well, then his circumcision will be on the 8th day. If it wouldn't be lachem, so then it could already be the first day. So we're saying that if you purchase this woman as a slave, and she's pregnant, well, you've basically acquired, it's a miknas kesef, you've purchased not only her, but also her vlad, her fetus. So you purchase the fetus, and if then the fetus is born after you've purchased the mother, so then it's miknas kesef, you purchased this fetus, but it was born in your home. So therefore it's yilid bayis, therefore, it's miknas kesef, but because it was born in your home, so it could be considered a miknas kesef, that's lachem. That's like you, it was born in your home, and therefore if it's lachem, so the circumcision would be on the 8th day. Okay? So I'm going to read that again. Lakach shifcha mu'uberes, if you purchased a maidservant that is pregnant, ve'achakach yalda, and then in your house, she gave birth. Zeu miknas kesef, so this will be miknas kesef, considered purchase, because you purchased the fetus. Hanimo l'shmona, but the circumcision will be in the 8th day, because the baby was born in your home. And it's like lachem, it's like you. Lakach shifcha uvlada ima, however, if you purchased the maidservant and but the baby was already born, let's say it was born like the day before, or even that day, so Zoe miknas kesef, so this is a purchase, shenima le'echad, that could already be circumcised on the first day because it wasn't born to you, right? It wasn't lachem when it was born. Fine. V'yesh lid bayis shenima l'shmona, and there are those that are born in your home that would be circumcised at 8 days. Ketzad, how is this? Lakach shifcha v'nis abra etzlo, if he purchased a non-pregnant woman to be a maidservant, and then she became pregnant while she was already in his household, v'yalda, and then she gave birth. So that is yilid bayis, and it's lachem, because the baby was born in your home. So zeu yilid bayis anima l'shmona, this is a yilid bayis that will be circumcised at 8 days. Fine. Obviously, the one that we missed, that we haven't listed, was yilid bayis, a child that was born in your home, that would be circumcised at 1 day. So we haven't explained that according to the Tanna Kama. Now, Rav Chama Omer, it says Rav Chama, Yolda v'achar kach itbila, zeu yilid bayis shenima le'echad, itbila v'achar kach yolda, zeu yilid bayis shenima le'shmona. Let's read that again. So now, Rabbi Chama introduces an interesting variable here, which is that when a yid purchases a maidservant, okay, so now he's got a non-Jewish maidservant. Well, we know that non-Jewish slaves, avadim kna'aniyim and shvachot kna'aniyot, so they are chayavim and chayavot in mitzvahs to the same extent that a woman is. And therefore, this woman that he purchased to be a shifcha Kanaanit, well, once she goes to the mikvah, with the intention of being, in order for her to now be a shifcha Kanaanit, so once she goes to the mikvah at that point, well then all the halachas of a Jewish woman apply to her. And therefore, Tumah now applies. And therefore when she has a baby, she will be, Tmeya. However, if she has not yet gone to the mikvah, well then she hasn't gone to the mikvah yet, so Tumah would not yet apply. Okay, so now, so here we go. So, says Rav Chama, Yolda v'achar kach dbila. So if she was purchased as a maidservant, and then she became pregnant in the home of the Jew, okay, and she gave birth, and during this whole time she had never gone yet to the mikvah to be a shifcha Kanaanit. Well, zeh yilid bayis shenimo le'echad. Well, this is a baby that was born in your home that would be circumcised that one day because the mother never went to the mikvah, and therefore there's no concept of tumah that applies to the mother. And because there's no concept of tumah, well then there's no concept of 8 days, as Rabbah was saying. Hitbila v'achar kach yalda. However, if she had gone to the mikvah prior to giving birth to this child, well then she will be tameya. So zeh yilid bayis and imal shmona. So this is a child who was born in your home, a yilid bayis, and he'll be circumcised at 8 days because the mother is tameh, has tumas leda. Fine, zeu. So now, of course, according to Rav Chama, we haven't yet described what exactly would be miknas kesef, hanimo l'shmona and hanimo le'echad, but we'll get there. Now, v'tanakama lo shanile ben itbila v'achar kach yalda ben yalda v'achar kach itbila. Now only Rabbi Chama made this distinction about did she go to the mikvah or not, right? Does it matter that if she's tmeya or not? However, says the Gemara, v'tanakama lo shanile, he doesn't make a distinction ben itbila v'achar kach yalda, whether if she first went to the mikvah and then gave birth, ben yalda v'achar kach itbila, or whether she first gave birth and then went to the mikvah. That the tumah of the mother makes no difference, even though she hasn't yet gone to the mikvah and the mother is not tmeya leda. Nonetheless, according to the Tanakama, it's nimol l'shmona if this child is born in your home. So we see from there that basically this machlokas Tanaim over here basically matches with how do we understand Rabbah's statement, right? So Rabbah, in the name of Rabbi Asi, said that there's a correlation between the tumah of the mother and the circumcision being at 8 days. That if the mother is tameya tumas leda, the circumcision will be at 8 days. If not, then no. So we see that is like that would be like Rabbi Chama who draws this correlation with regard to these children of maidservants. And the Tanakama, however, disagrees and says that there is no correlation. It doesn't matter whether or not the mother is tameya tumas leda. Fine. Bishlam Rabbi Chama. So the Gemara says, I understand according to Rabbi Chama, Mishkachas la yilid bayis nimol le'echad, yilid bayis nimol l'shmone, miknas kesef nimol le'echad, miknas kesef nimol l'shmone. So the Gemara says, I understand Rabbi Chama's opinion, because according to Rabbi Chama, I can work out all the different cases, right? He says, right, Mishkachas la, we can find yilid bayis nimol le'echad, a child who's born in the house that is circumcised that one day, yilid bayis nimol l'shmone, or a Eved Kanani, a slave who was born in the house that is circumcised at 8 days. Miknas kesef nimol le'echad, also a purchased Eved Kanani that would be circumcised already at 1 day. Miknas kesef nimol l'shmone, and a purchased Eved Kanani that would be circumcised at 8 days. Yalda v'achar kach dbila. So, well, because according to Rabbi Chama, if you purchased a maidservant and after you purchased her, she became pregnant, and she gave birth, and she had not yet gone to the mikveh yet. So this is, right, zeu yilid bayis nimol le'echad. So this is a child born in your house who would be circumcised at 1 day. Hitbila v'achar kach yalda, if she went to the mikveh first, and then afterwards she gave birth, zeu yilid bayis nimol l'shmone. Well, this is a yilid bayis that would be circumcised at 8 days. Miknas kesef nimol l'shmone. What would the case of miknas kesef, a purchased Eved Kanani who is circumcised at 8 days, kigon shalakach shifcha me'uberes, such as if he purchased this shifcha Kananis when she was pregnant, vitbila, and then she went to the mikvah, v'achar kach yalda, then afterwards she gave birth. So that would be miknas kesef, because you purchased the fetus, and is nimo l'shmona, since he was born after the mother had already gone to the mikvah. So she's tamea. Now miknas kesef, nimo le'echad, what is the case of when you purchase a shifcha, when you purchase a fetus, and it will be born, and it will be circumcised already at 1 day? So one option would be to say that you just purchased her when she's pregnant and she gave birth before going to the mikvah, right? But the Gemara gives even a bigger chiddush, which is kigon, for example, shalakach zeh shifcha v'zeh ubra. Let's say Reuven and Shimon purchased this shifcha kananis. Reuven purchased her, Shimon purchased the fetus. So now in that case, since Shimon only purchased the fetus, it doesn't matter that the mother even went to the mikvah. So the chiddush is that even if she went to the mikvah, nonetheless it would be nimo le'echad, since Shimon only purchased the fetus, whatever the mother did doesn't have an effect on this fetus, and the fetus could already be nimo le'shmona, the nimo le'echad, the tumah of the mother is not relevant in this case. Fine, so we explained according to Rabbi Chama all 4 cases. El Tanakama, but according to the Tanakama, Bishlama Kulu Mishkachas Lu. So we explained earlier how the Tanakama learns out Miknas Kesef, Nimo Le'echad, Miknas Kesef, Nimo L'shmone, Yilid Bayis, Nimo L'shmone, but we're missing one. We're missing Yilid Bayis, Nimo Le'echad. Yilid Bayis, Nimo Le'echad, Echi Mishkachas La. According to the Tanakama, what is the case of a child born in the house that would be circumcised at 1 day? Amr Rabbi Yirmiyah, says Rabbi Yirmiyah, B'lokeach Shifcha Le'ubra. Rabbi Yirmiyah says, well, it's when you purchase a shifcha kananis, but not because you want her, rather it is because you want the fetus. But you don't necessarily care about her, you just care about the fetus. And in that case, even though it's yilid bias, it would still only be nimo le'echad. So now, anicha lemanda amar kinyan peres lavke kinyan aguf tami. So I understand if you say that when you purchase fruits, it's not like you purchase the body, meaning, therefore you're purchasing the fetus, but you're not purchasing the mother. So then that's fine. But if you say that by purchasing the fruits, it's also like you're purchasing the body, i.e. by purchasing the fetus, you're also purchasing the mother, well then they kind of come together. So Michael Amr of Mishasha B'lokeach Shifcha Amanash Lo Lat Bila. So if Mishasha says, it's talking about when you purchase this Shifcha under the condition that she's not going to go to the mikvah. She's not going to go to the mikvah. And because she's not going to go to the mikvah, it's not considered lachem. And therefore, because she's not going to go to the mikvah, this child was born, it's not considered a lachem, and therefore 8 days doesn't apply. So even though the baby is born in your home, interesting. So this is not talking about a pregnant woman, because if it was a pregnant woman, then it would be miknas kesef, right? So it's talking about you purchase this shifcha, but only for the children. So it sounds like he's purchasing this shifcha, and she's not pregnant at the time, because if she was pregnant, so then mistama she would be then that would be miknas kesef. So mistama is purchasing her, but only for the ubra, and he's not planning for her to go to the mikveh bichlal at all. So therefore, any of these children that are born in the house, even though it's yilid bias, it wouldn't be considered lachem, because there's no intention for the mother to go to the mikveh at all, and therefore it's not considered like you, and therefore it would be milah would be at 1 day. It says Rashi, Shalakha Manash Shelo Lad Bila, to lo Shaicha Batoras Chiyuva de Mitzvos Klal, to Labdumi de Lachemu, Aval Tumas Le de lo Chashinan Biyada Vachakach de Bila. So therefore, because he has no intention of her going to the mikvah, she's not bechlal connected to any of the mitzvos, and therefore, even though we do milah for this child, it wouldn't have to be on the 8th day. It's not considered like lachem. Fine. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Lamed of Masechta Shabbos. Yeah, it was like unassumingly confusing, I guess. But I'm sure none of you guys are confused. Okay, so let us review what we learned today. So we started off by talking about how safekos by milah are not docheh Shabbos. So we talked about androgynos. The milah of androgynos is not docheh Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees and says it would be docheh Shabbos. We talked about if a child is born ben hashmashos, his bris would not be docheh Shabbos. If a child is born without an orla, so even if you say that you would do atafas adam, it would not be on Shabbos. And also if it's a safek, if the child was born in the 7th month or the 8th month, it would not be docheh Shabbos either. Fine. Then we talked about doing atafas adam in a situation when the child is nolad mahul. So according to the Tanna Kama, it's machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no, that you wouldn't do atafas adam. Rav Shimon ben Elazar says that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that you would do atafas adam. The nafka mina, the machlokas is only for a gersh and his gayer, that you have a convert who converts and he's already circumcised. So in that case, Beis Shammai says you would still have to do atafas adam. According to Beis Hillel, you would not. Then we later on brought the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar, who says that both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree that nolad mahul, you would do atafas adam. The machlokas is it docheh Shabbos or not? Beis Shammai says yes, Beis Hillel says no. We had a machlokas between, we saw machlokas between Rabba and Rav Yosef about orla kavusha, right? So the only reason why you would do atafas adam is because we're concerned that maybe there's an orla there, but it's just, connected with the rest of the penis. It's just merged with the rest of it. So therefore, so if you say that it's vaday orla kavusha, well then there's mamash chiyuv to do bris milah, to do atafas adam, and it'll be docheh Shabbos. Well, so Rav Yosef says it's a vaday orla kavusha. Rabba says it's a safek orla kavusha. Then we got into a whole confusing machlokas there using with Rabbi Eliezer Kapar for Rav Yosef try to prove that it's orla kavusha, but it wasn't really successful in the end. Then at the end we had this discussion about, is there a connection between the tumah of the mother and the chiyuv for milah to be at 8 days? So according to Rabbah, yes, there is. And if the mother doesn't have tumas leda, so then for example like a C-section, so then the milah would not have to be on the 8th day. And we saw that it's actually machlokas tanaim. We had this brisa in the context of avadim, where the Tanna Kama says that there's no connection between tuma and the chiyuv of milah l'shmona, whereas Rabbi Chama says that there is a connection between those things. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Lamrei. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day or night. Peace.